Alright, I've been looking forward to this game since I played the first one last year. It's been the one game I've really looked forward to this year, and I've been praying it had a decent launch, and finally, I've got my hands on it. Now, I've obviously bought one of the higher tiered editions because I wanted to make use of the 4 days early access. Unfortunately though, I couldn't preload on Steam because for some reason Saber or Focus didn't allow it on PC, but then they allowed it on console. I've seen people say this is to avoid piracy, but there are other games in the past that have allowed it, so I'm not sure why it's changed now. To be fair, there's no de novo at least, which is a pretty big win in my opinion. In fact, so far the devs have been pretty pro-consumer from everything that I've seen. There was some drama about the Epic Online servers issues, which I definitely didn't like, but apparently this is to allow crossplay. I have a suspicion this was something Epic themselves enforced though. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. Okay, performance and optimization. This game feels pretty great so far. I've run a 3080 Ti and so far it seems surprisingly good. I've had maybe a few minor frame drops, but nothing really noticeable. There has been some random hitching, but I feel like it might actually be my PC more than the optimization. I did see some issues with multiplayer initially, but by the time I tried it, I found it to be more than playable. Operations, the PvE portion, was pretty fun, and it actually connects to the main story campaign, which I appreciated. Now, the Eternal War or PvP portion of the game was pretty fun. I'm normally not that keen on multiplayer or PvP, but it was a damn good time. Like, I think this is where most people will end up. I only played one map at the time of writing this, and it was a blast. It was called Seize Ground, essentially a capture and hold points type setup. Nothing you haven't seen before, and it actually reminds me of older games, but I haven't really played these in a while, so it felt good. Would definitely recommend. Now, I did find that some of my loading screens felt longer than what I would have expected, but I'm not entirely sure what the cause is. I did note it says joining servers even for the single player campaign when loading, and I think it's an always online game, so I'm wondering if that's causing the slowness. Now, I'm still very early on, but I thought the interface felt a bit weird. I mean, it's nothing bad, it's actually similar to Darktide in how you move around the ship to choose menu options. I would have preferred something like Warframe where you can walk there in-game or just press escape to skip to each, but whatever. It's no biggie and it is definitely more immersive this way. For those that want to jump straight into multiplayer and skip the main story campaign though, as far as I can tell, you can't. At least not until you do at least the first couple of missions. As in, you need to do at least the prologue and the first mission before you can start multiplayer, which personally I think you should anyway. It's a great campaign so far. Now, I'm still mid-campaign, but something else I found is that if you want to play multiplayer, you need to start the game, continue your story, and then exit out to the battle barge, and then walk over to the console to start multiplayer. I'm assuming this changes after the campaign, but if you're doing it midway, it seems a bit unnecessary to me with the extra loading times and menus. I actually thought they were going to start fresh and be redoing everything with this game, and they've definitely introduced a whole new score. But the music? Listen to this. I love the original Titus theme, and when looking up the theme for this sequel, it looked like they were changing it, but this little menu loading screen moment was just a great bit of fan service, especially for someone who loved the original score. The visuals are, well, pretty spectacular. It's not only really great looking throughout with awesome looking environments, it's so detailed. I'm not that close with the lore, but even I can appreciate how much there is. Everywhere you look, there are little bits of the 40k universe brought to life. The best part for me, I think, is being able to see so far out. Like, you're able to tangibly see units in the background running toward you from across the battlefield, and it's just super impressive. Now, when it comes to the mechanics, this is a proper sequel. I had thought that they'd be changing the formula up, but to me it feels like the first game but improved. I'm not that far into the campaign, but from what I've seen, the weapon selection variety has already been improved, though you can still only hold 3 weapons total. Primary, secondary, and melee. To me, this feels surprisingly similar to the first game, but definitely better. The multiplayer will obviously need balancing ongoing, but it felt pretty good from what I've played so far. I mean, it is still very early to call it, but I've had a heap of fun so far, and if it keeps up, I think this will be a great entry in the 40k franchise. There was a notable amount of perk upgrades and custom loadout options for it too, which will help to keep the multiplayer fresh, I think. The cosmetic options look to be pretty damn comprehensive too, but from what I can see, it is only for PvE or PvP. Which makes sense since you play as Titus in the single player. I'm a sucker for customization, so this has me sold. This game feels very lore rich, from the way the characters speak to the details in the architecture. It's very true to life, and you can tell they really paid attention to the lore. Even the way they've addressed lore in exposition seems pretty good too. It's not overly in your face or unnecessary. You obviously play as Dimitri and Titus, and you're a veteran who has faced Tyranids before, but your squad mates actually haven't, so you're the one explaining things to them, which to me works. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's an audible silence from Titus as his squad mates make comments.
I do not forget my brothers so quickly.
Almost like he's trying to hide his past, but not really. I mean, there is a lot to unpack, to be fair. I also really like that prologue mission. Not to mention any spoilers, and I'm no expert, but they expanded upon the backstory and what's happened between the two Space Marine games, which I really appreciate. Okay, so wrapping up, I think this could be a winner here. There have been some issues, but for the most part, this feels like a pretty solid game so far. I've unfortunately not had as much time with it as I would have liked due to some issues with the keys, but what I've played so far feels pretty great. Honestly, I'm generally not a pre-order type guy, and paying for early access has never felt great to me, but I definitely recommend this one, especially at standard pricing. With the Ultra and Gold editions, I'd only recommend if you're a hardcore 40k fan and really want the season pass or cosmetics. If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I'm still looking to upload a brand new video once a fortnight, but be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.